So I saw what to me might just be the worst movie of 2025 so far. There have been bad movies, only a couple of them that, I noticed just that sucked. Like Flight Risk was really terrible with Mark Wahlberg. That was directed by Mel Gibson, though, too, which is crazy because Mel Gibson's made Braveheart, Hacksaw Ridge recently, but Flight Risk just sucked. There was The Damned, which, I forgot all about that. It was that really low-budget horror movie. There were no scares, but it was competently made. The direction was pretty solid at points. It just, the story was so boring. Bloat is this movie that just came out on March 7th. Direct-to-video. It's very obviously direct-to-video. The star of the movie is Ben McKenzie, who hasn't really been in anything since Gotham. I loved that show for a bit. That show also totally jumped the shark very early on. But he's in this, and the plot of the movie is so convoluted. So let's get into it. So Bloat follows Ben McKenzie's character, who's a military officer and a father who's stationed in Turkey while his kids are vacationing in Japan with his wife. He's supposed to go with them, but there's some attack on a military base and he can't go. So he just lets his wife go to Japan with the kids, which, by the way, that never really factors into the plot, which is like a big issue with the movie for me. He's in the military. He has connections in the military. This never really builds to be anything that could use that idea of him being a army officer or having these connections to actually do anything meaningful with it, which is just one of many, many issues. So not only is he away, his wife is with the kids, and then he's on FaceTime with her while he's in his office or whatever, and one of the kids drowns, and he's like, what's going on? And then the kid comes back, the kid has issues, he's basically acting like a possessed kid would in a movie. He's eating cucumbers under the bed. It's so not scary, and the thing is, the execution is so hard to make this feel scary or make this feel believable. The execution here of the screen life format just does not work with this concept at all. And I could see how on paper or maybe in a script it's interesting, and the idea is interesting that this kid goes into a lake and almost drowns, but then he comes back and there's something wrong with him. But it just doesn't work in screen life format. It doesn't lend itself to that. And there's really great movies that do screen life really well, like Missing or Searching. I saw both of those in the theater. I thought that Missing, it had its fair share of things you had to suspend your disbelief with a bit, but the entire execution of Missing was intriguing. It made sense. It felt grounded in reality. There was humor. There were thrilling moments. It felt like almost, a bit of a hammy true crime documentary, but at the same time, or one of those reenactments. It was really well made though, and it was well written. I really liked Missing, and I thought that how it used the screen life format where the whole thing is on FaceTime or a Storm Reed's character searching the web to try and find her mother, it was always making sense to me because she was far apart. The mom who went missing in that movie was in another country, so she needed the internet. That happens in this movie too, where they're separated, but it just doesn't work the same because the ticking clock thing of this girl not being able to find her mother doesn't equate to the story, which is just so freaking convoluted. The dad is an army officer and his base gets attacked, so he has to be there. So there's that thing you're thinking about at first, but then his wife and kids are on vacation and he's just FaceTiming them and it's very casual. And then the son drowns, but then he comes back and he's showing these signs of being possessed, which I guess could be creepy. They have a couple shots where they zoom in and to a photo they took of the boy or a screenshot and his eyes are green, but that's it. There's nothing really scary to do with this, and they don't even go full on with the possessed child route, which really they either should have done that or should have made this digital. That's another thing that was an issue with this movie. There was so many scenes in this movie where the scares purely come from the cameras being corrupted, they're watching something and you should see the possessed kid, but then the screen just distorts and the whole thing glitches and it blurs and pixelates, and it's so frustrating to me. It felt like such a letdown, just such an easy way out. And I was thinking, why would the cameras be affected if this boy is possessed by this demon? In the movie, they kind of label it as this, Japanese spirit, which is called a kappa. It just does not work, though. And the worst thing is then it tries to be this screen life movie, which just doesn't work as well. I really think like Missing and Searching totally worked. I think you can do a horror movie. Unfriended Dark Web was really good. And I thought the first Unfriended movie, which this film takes place canonically in the same universe as, you'll see if you watch it. I thought Unfriended, which was really stupid, I saw that in theater in 2014, was just at least cheesy, but it had this simple story. This movie story just kind of like breaks down a half hour in. The movie's only like an hour and 16 minutes, really. That's without credits. It was so short. Also, the ending it's a non-ending. It's ambiguous, really, what happens, which to me is just one of the worst things. It ends in a scene that makes me think there should have been another scene after the movie, but they just either edited it out or they didn't want to go with it because they thought the ending sucked, so they just stuck with that. It is just such a bonkers, terrible movie. You have to really see to believe. And I do think that this could be interesting, possibly if it was just a regular narrative movie and they weren't talking over FaceTime or like searching the internet the whole movie. There's also this friend character who the main character, the military officer, like has like who like go to Japan, who I think like lives like probably on that continent. They never like clarify really anything. You never really get any emotional backstory. The only emotional backstory you get is that they lost their first child, and that's in like the first minute of the movie. So you never get like any personal story with them. You never feel like you really have lived with this family. You just see the parents arguing. Whereas in Searching or Missing, they even give you the family videos, and you get to kind of get that dynamic between mother and son, and the conversations are very natural. This is just serving such a choppy plot right from the beginning. It's just doomed. This is like the red one of 2025 so far. So guys, let me know if you've heard of Bloat, if you plan on seeing it. It's just awful. I wouldn't even say it's so bad. It's good, but it definitely has its cheesy, laughable moments. So guys, thank you for watching, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much.